Hello! So now that I've been stuck in quarantine at home for quite a while now, I just really miss going to restaurants and eating good food. So I thought it'd be a great time for me to finally learn how to cook. So in today's video, I'm going to be making golden curry, but from the box, not from scratch. So I actually prepared 3 different ways on how to eat this. So I have curry rice, curry fried rice, as well as curry ramen. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. Alright, so for Japanese curry, we'll need 2 carrots, 2 potatoes, and 2 onions. And also any kind of meat, so here I'm using chicken breast. So I did take them out of the fridge earlier, but they were still completely frozen, and this is me desperately trying to defrost them by running them under some cold water. So make sure to scrub those veggies really well, get rid of any viruses which may be on top. And we're gonna peel the onions and peel the potatoes as well. And potatoes oxidize really fast, so I put them in a bowl of water. And peel your carrots. And I sped this up because this is what it looks like in the original speed. Next, we're gonna chop the onions, and this is a great excuse if you really need to cry about anything in this day and age. Just really get your face in there, and then we're gonna saute them. Yeah, ideally you want them to caramelize, but I don't think my heat was hot enough, but it still tasted fine. And you also want to chop your carrots into large chunks. Clearly I forgot to film this, but this is me recreating it, so just use your imagination. And we're gonna add that to the pot, and I also added 2 cups of chicken stock as well as 2 cups of water. Now we're just gonna cover it with a lid, and you can wait a good 15 to 20 minutes as it simmers away, which means that it's the perfect time to play some Animal Crossing. You'll probably have just enough time to get stung by a wasp, catch some sea bass, break your shovel on the money rock. And eventually, when you're redecorating your ironwood kitchen, you remember that you actually have food cooking in your real kitchen. So this is what it looks like. You can see it simmering away. We're gonna add potatoes that are also cut into large chunks. Adds chicken, also large chunks. And now you're rewarded with an exciting unboxing video of my curry package. Clearly I had no idea how to add the cubes. They looked very big, so I was trying to dissolve them in a smaller bowl, but that did not work at all. The water that I poured in from the soup immediately became pretty lukewarm, and the curry block was just not dissolving. So eventually I just dumped the cubes into the pot directly and stirred. Then it sat there bubbling away, and I thought, does it look too thin? So then I randomly made this cornstarch slurry, and I got this brilliant idea to strain it through a filter because I noticed there were a lot of chunks. This also failed miserably because literally none of the slurry was going through this strainer at all. So I just ended up dumping the cornstarch lumps directly into the curry, and I figured that I could just pretend like it was a chunk of potato if someone accidentally bit into it. And then we're done. This is the very sexy shot of me pouring it next to my rice that's exactly split down the middle. So the curry was so good. So I might be a little bit biased since I really like curry, but I thought the flavor was really good, and it wasn't too strong, but it wasn't like overwhelmingly salty. I did think the consistency was still a little bit thin even after all the cornstarch, and appearance-wise, I think this looks pretty good. The one thing was, I think in this step, I could have removed some of the scum from the top just so the final curry would be a little bit smoother and wouldn't have like these little chunks of chicken flakes, I guess. Time-wise, this actually took me an hour and a half, but I think this is because this is the first time I was ever filming, and it's kind of difficult to figure out how to set up a camera properly. I think realistically, if I boiled it down, it could have only taken maybe 40 to 50 minutes, and a lot of the time is honestly just sitting there waiting for things to happen on the stove, so it's not like high effort or anything like that. Alright, so now moving on to our second rice dish, curry fried rice. So here I'm checking to see if the eggs are raw by spinning it, and the idea is if you try to stop it with your finger very briefly, but then the egg keeps spinning, that means that there's fluid on the inside, so then it's a raw egg. Just making sure, just because I accidentally boiled an already boiled egg the other day, so I just wanted to be very sure that it was all raw. Add some salt, mix, and pour it into a, air quote, non-stick pan. Clearly it's very stuck. So after looking at this pan, I decided to just switch over to using the wok. Now we're just gonna add our chicken breast. I was lazy, so I just added a bag of Asian veggies, and the broccoli florets were literally the size of my fist. They came out in these huge chunks and refused to defrost. So after minutes, I scooped out this like broccoli ice and then cut them smaller. So the problem with this is that there's so much liquid from like the frozen veggies that this was super watery, and here I just dumped it down the drain. I left the flame on, so try not to burn down the place. So what should you do if there's too much liquid in your pan? Add soy sauce. So obviously this was also a terrible idea, and I ended up trying to ladle out the soy sauce and water fluid, and then I just let it sit and hopefully cook out the water. After it looked decently dry, I decided to add the rice. Maybe the rice was watery and the pot was already watery, and maybe the wok wasn't well seasoned, but you can see here it's extremely stuck to the bottom. And after just mixing it a little bit, I decided to ignore this problem completely, and I added the eggs and I added the curry, which makes this curry fried rice. And then I just mixed it until it was just combined, and I quickly scooped it out before the entirety of the fried rice decided to stick itself to my wok. So this fried rice, clearly there were a few issues. So for one, the texture was just really not there. I think the frozen veggies definitely didn't help because those are also weirdly smushy. The whole thing kind of tasted like I was eating porridge, so not ideal. Honestly, the flavor wasn't bad. I mean, curry is curry and fried rice is fried rice, so like how bad could it possibly be? Okay, so the main reason that I wanted to make this is because I thought it would be really fast, maybe like less than 10 minutes to fry everything together. Wrong. So just defrosting my frozen veggies took maybe like 5 to 10 minutes in the pan. It took a long time for me to try to boil out the water while I was cooking. The kicker is, since everything was like stuck on the bottom of the pans, I had to take 20 extra minutes just to vigorously scrub it off. I ended up having to boil a layer of water inside the wok and then just really go at it with a wooden spoon before any of it started peeling off. So yeah, overall, I would rate this like a 3 out of 10 experience. I would definitely not try to do this again until after I kind of figure out what went wrong here. After this whole debacle, I was pretty done with trying to do anything fancy, so then we went back to easy curry ramen. I thought the curry by itself was a little bit too strong, so I just wanted to water down the broth. But then I added like an entire ocean's worth of water, and I tasted it, and it tasted kind of like I was drinking water out of an unwashed bowl. And then I tried to fix it with soy sauce, and it turned this color. And then I just threw on the lid ASAP, just so I wouldn't have to look at this monstrosity any longer. But on to cooking the noodles! So I actually have fresh ramen from the Asian grocery store, and the water immediately turned into this disconcerting shade of yellow. I looked at the ingredients, so the noodles actually have food coloring, but at least they look nice. And after just a few minutes, they were ready to go, so you scoop them out into your bowl and play some tug-of-war with the pot. Just drag it in. Drag it in. Now we're gonna add the broth and add some nice soft boiled ramen eggs, and ta-da! Yeah, I'm a huge fan of curry ramen. I just think that the slightly thicker consistency of the broth really helps to coat the noodles well. So yeah, clearly I liked it. This was way easier than the fried rice, and it was kind of like a fun way to change it up a little bit. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, and it was really fun trying out like different ways to eat the curry. The one thing was I made way too much curry, which is maybe not a bad problem to have. But basically the past few days my meals have just looked like lunch, curry rice, dinner, curry fried rice, lunch, curry ramen, dinner, curry rice again. It's day 5 and I'm finally finishing up everything. So I'm pretty excited to be going back to eating other flavors again. Yeah, so I think in the future I can definitely have the recipe just to make it a little bit more manageable. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed watching me struggle to cook. So thanks for watching, bye!